So everybody is familiar with bots in MMOs, however Classic WoW and botting seem to go hand in hand much better than in retail WoW. This is mostly due to gold being a much bigger factor for your success in Classic WoW instead of retail. So in this video I will be going over the botting problem in Classic WoW, how it has changed, and what Blizzard can do to stop it. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to this vaulty video. So I have made some videos about botting in Classic WoW in the past, however the situation seems to have gotten much worse. The botting in this game has just gotten to the point where you can go out in the open world during peak times and go to a quest hub and you'll find a bunch of bots just operating wide open, and I think a lot of the Classic WoW community has noticed this as well. In Classic WoW there are three types of bots. Now the first is the most common, which is just to farm gold, and these are accounts dedicated to just farming gold in out of the way places and will try and reduce the amount of chances that they will have of getting reported. The second type of bot is just for leveling. Now you may think that the leveling bots won't be that good, but it's actually gotten to the point where they're very sophisticated, and you can actually sell a level 60 account in Classic WoW for hundreds of dollars. So the money in leveling bots is probably even better than what you can get from just having a gold farming bot. And the third type of bot is a PvP bot. Now these will be bots that will go into Alterac Valley and will just do the bare minimum as to not get reported and kicked out of the game. The reason why they do that is because you can get a character to rank 13 and so on, and then you can sell that account for even more. So that's kind of another thing that has came up since Alterac Valley came out. PvP bots wouldn't work in Warsong Gulch because there's too few people, and if you were botting in Warsong Gulch you would stick out like a sore thumb. However, when you're in Alterac Valley you can kind of blend in with 40 people. So you guys may be wondering, how do you pick out a bot from a real player? What are the differences? What are some of the signs that that player is a bot and not a real human? Some suspicious things that they could have is A, not having a guild, because if a character doesn't have a guild it's just less interaction with other players and less chance that they'll get reported. So typically a botted player will not actually be in a guild. Another thing is that they'll only have equipment that are BOE. They're not going to have any dungeon equipment because it just takes too long and it's not profitable. So what bots do is just buy green BOEs on the auction house, and that's good enough. However, those are suspicious behaviors, but it's not really the litmus test as to whether a character is a bot or not. The real telltale sign of a character being a bot is their movement. You see, the movement in World of Warcraft is actually a little bit complicated. Because you're using your mouse and your keyboard, a real human player is going to have a lot of random patterns that can't easily be simulated by a script. The way bots work is that they have to go to specific coordinates on the map. They can't really deviate or do anything random. You'll find the bots typically make laps around an area by moving to the exact waypoints that the program has told it to go to. And a lot of times bots get caught up in terrain. In fact, rocks and trees seem to be the arch nemesis of a bot. Like this dwarf hunter that seemingly can't get past this insignificant step in Gadgetzan. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it's definitely a botted character because he's been running in the spot for a good 15 minutes and he hasn't put up the AFK flag. So apparently I'm to believe that this is a real human that just can't figure out how to get past this little step in the terrain. Or a more sophisticated bot will actually backpedal out whenever he gets in a situation where it can't move forward. Like this hunter can't get past this tree for some reason, but when it realizes that it can't move any further for a few seconds, it will actually backpedal out and start a new waypoint that is slightly different. And this is a big telltale sign of a bot. If it really struggles with getting past simple terrain, it's probably a bot. Bots also have a very structured way of fighting mobs. They will typically follow a set script where they would follow a rotation down to the exact millisecond, and they'll just do the same thing over and over again. The only variables they have is that when they get to a certain percentage of health or mana, they might decide to drink or cast a healing spell, but that's all just another part of the script. If you look at the actual damage rotation they do, it's completely predictable. For example, this mage in Tanaris, which is obviously a bot, is farming golden pearls. Now you can see that this character is just casting Scorch over and over again, and even when he gets in a situation where I'm standing in front of him or even attacking him, he doesn't change up his rotation. In fact, even when he's about to die in PvP and someone's attacking him, he still does that Scorch rotation. And no matter what I do, he just keeps casting Scorch, so this is obviously a bot. These kind of bots will typically only be in out of the way parts of the map. However, this is expected. A lot of people know about bots that are in out of the way parts of the map that are just farming gold away from everybody else. However, what has changed are leveling bots. Leveling bots have gotten a lot bolder in Classic WoW. The gold farming bots will typically go in out of the way places, but not leveling bots. In fact, in pretty much every leveling zone in Classic WoW, even during peak times, you can find a handful of these bots that are just operating in the open. And you can even find this yourself. Now go onto any low or medium population server and go to one of the leveling zones and check what's going on around you. I can almost guarantee you that you'll come across a couple of bots, even during peak times. Like this Troll Hunter is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It's not like I'm playing at 3 AM, this is actually a common time to play WoW. Yet in this starting zone you can see this guy who's obviously a bot. What this guy does is kill a bunch of scorpions around the area, and when his bags are full, he makes a trip back to the butcher NPC to sell his bags. Now you may be thinking, what's to say that this is a bot? Couldn't this just be a real player? He goes down the exact same path to go back to the butcher, then comes back to the scorpions. In fact, I've seen him do this at least 5 times. There is no variation in movement. He's going to the exact same places as he was the first lap, and he's just doing that on a loop. The fact that leveling bots can now sell items to vendors, learn skills, and take up quests is quite impressive in my opinion. Definitely botting in Classic WoW has gotten more sophisticated than what it was a few months ago. Another interesting thing with bots is that they will periodically log out. Now, I found a bunch of people that had suspicious behavior that looked like a bot, and when I got too close, they actually just logged out randomly, so I couldn't look at them for very long. Now, I'm not sure what exactly triggers this, or if these guys even are bots, but whenever I see someone that is moving in a botted way, and I get up too close, that character seems to log out when I get near. I'm not exactly sure how that works, maybe if there's too many players nearby, or they just log out at random times. Logging out could be part of their script to make it look like they're more of a real player and not just playing 24/7. This might be a way to fool Blizzard or to reduce people from reporting them. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but if these bots do have a way of logging out when there's players nearby, that's pretty impressive. I'm not certain that this is the case, this is just a pattern that I've noticed. A thing worth mentioning is that bots in Classic WoW do not do PvP very well. In fact, if you go in combat with them, they'll pretty much just do the exact same rotation as they did that they were just doing on that mob that they were fighting. So if you just attack them, you can pretty much figure out if they're a bot or not, based on how badly they fight you. They won't be able to move around like you would in PvP. They'll just stand there and face you and try to do their rotation, regardless of the fact that you're not even in range. I'm kind of surprised at how big botting in Classic WoW's gotten. I would have thought Blizzard would have better technology to deal with this, but apparently not. Now there could be a number of reasons for the increase in botted activity in Classic WoW. It could be that the majority of people are already level 60, so a lot of the leveling zones are a lot more free to run, at least if you're a botted character. There's going to be less people in the leveling zones, which means there's less people to report you, and another thing is that the scripts for botting in Classic WoW I think have gotten more sophisticated. Definitely the bots that I encountered during the launch of Classic WoW and the bots that I come across today seem to be quite different. I think Blizzard could do some stuff to make this better. Maybe when you try to right-click report a player, instead of just having vague reasons like language, name and cheating, they should have a separate section for botting, because it's so big a problem that I think it deserves its own category to report. And I think one of the big reasons why bots in Classic WoW are so successful is because a lot of people don't know what to look out for. So as I make videos about bots in Classic WoW, it's kind of to educate people as to what to look out for and to determine what is or isn't botted behavior. As if you're just leveling a character in the open zone, there's a good chance you wouldn't have noticed this Troll Hunter, which is obviously a bot just playing in the background, but If you look closely like I did and follow this guy around, you would notice that this guy has clear patterns that indicates that it's a bot. But again, if you're just leveling in the open world and you're just busy with your own character, you probably wouldn't even look into it, or you wouldn't notice it unless you knew what to look out for. Now, I have heard some people say that reporting people for botting doesn't do anything. The conspiracy is that botted accounts in Classic WoW also pay a subscription that Blizzard turns a blind eye. I'm not sure how true or substantial those claims are, but some people have been reporting that. But I believe that Blizzard are banning bots. It just might not be Blizzard's #1 priority. Well guys, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel. This is vaulty signing out.